Hi folks, this is my first YouTube video, start to my channel. I want to do this because I love cooking, and this is important to me. So, to start off, I thought we might bake some cookies. So you want to start with 14 tablespoons of completely melted butter. Be careful, this is hot. Now mine's not completely melted all the way because I'm impatient, but I recommend you to do that. Another thing, some people brown their butter. It gives it a great taste. Takes too long for me personally, so I don't choose to do that. Now, my chocolate chip cookie recipe is a little different than most people's. Most people do the same amount of brown sugar and white sugar. I, on the other hand, think it's better to do 3 3/4 cup brown sugar and 1/2 cup white sugar. Now, I like to get a nice coarse brown sugar because, like I said, it gives it a nice texture. Now, see, all leveled out, dump it in. So we put our brown sugar in. Now we put our white sugar. Now make sure with your white sugar that you don't get any big chunky pieces, because sometimes they don't break apart when you're mixing and it gives your batter a weird texture. Excuse me, I did something dumb for a sec. Almost did something dumb. So now that you have your butter and your sugars, you're gonna want to get a whisk or spoon. Now, some people like whisking, but personally, or using a hand mixer. Personally, I like to use a wooden spoon. Now it's yellow because many years of cooking on the spoon. Now you want to mix it up. If you have any tiny pieces of butter, make sure you chop them up. Now mix really well. So I'm having a little trouble because I didn't let mine melt all the way. But my butter melted all the way. But it's coming out pretty well. I just gotta mix a little longer than I normally would. See, this is the importance of being patient. Something that I do not have. Now we're just gonna mix it up. Chop it up a little bit more. Now, see those white parts that butter? We're still gonna have to mix it up a little and chop it up, but this is as good as it's gonna get right now. So, I'm going to slide this to the side, figure that out later. Now, here's important. Most people, they do 2 eggs. I do 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. So if you don't know how to separate an egg yolk, that's totally fine. You can still do 2 eggs. I'm gonna use the same thing I melted the butter with to put in my egg white. Now, don't want to crack your egg on the side of the bowl, actually, because that pushes eggshell in. You want to crack it on a flat surface, such as this. Right in. If there's any eggshell pieces, don't be afraid to go grab them. So, yeah. Now, here's the hard part. We got to separate the egg yolk from the white. We're going to crack it a little bit more gentle than we would that first egg. Now, I like to crack a little out and then dump out the egg white. If that doesn't work, just peel away some more of the shell and continue dumping out the egg white. Then you want to dump the remaining bits into your hand. Don't worry about getting messy. You're going to get messy in the first place. Now make sure you really get all that gunk off. There we go. Make sure there's no little bits of shell. See, you're gonna have a nice little egg yolk just like this. You just plop it in. Be careful. Now, when you're baking, you're gonna need to wash your hands now. Okay? So, warm water with soap. You don't want to get salmonella poison. I will be eating some of the batter later, but at least it's mixed in. So make sure that's all nice and clean. And dry your hands. This is important. It's important to dry your hands. Now we have our cup full of eggshells. If you are growing something and you want to add this to your soil, that's great. Add this to your compost. Eggshells and egg whites are great for compost. So I'm going to set this to the side because I'm going to do some plant burying later. Now you got to hit the egg yolks. Make sure they don't touch the sides, so fold them in nice and careful. Because if they touch the sides, then they're going to get a little stuck there, so you're going to have to scrape them off, so be careful. So we're just mixing this up. Once again, see it's getting this golden color from the yolks. I personally like to get local eggs because I find that they have a better flavor. So sometimes the egg white might not mix in all the way. So I recommend almost whipping it like that, getting some air pockets in in hopes that it mixes up. So see this batter? You want it to be around this consistency. Got any butter pieces left? Chop them again, just for good luck, as you know. Now, here's a very important part. You're gonna wanna take your vanilla extract and take a half a teaspoon. Now you're gonna don't use half a teaspoon. You're gonna use 3 half a teaspoons, so a teaspoon and a half. Because I like my cookies really vanilla-y, but to other people they might not like that. So it all depends. But when baking, I think it's always better to use like a little bit more vanilla extract. That's just my opinion. Other people might have a different opinion. Now, the most important part, most dangerous part. Gotta add your baking soda. Don't add too little, don't add too much. You gotta be pretty careful with this, or you could get some weird cookies. Not that they're bad, they just might not taste that good. You gotta be careful and add half a teaspoon. Scrape really well, make sure it's all good. See, very level here. And then dump it in. The reason I'm so careful is because I'm not good at baking. I am not a professional, which is crazy to some of you, but no, I'm not. Now, as one of our final ingredients, we gotta add the flour. Now, what type of flour am I using? Wheat flour. There's lots of different types of flours. I honestly prefer almond flour when baking cookies. I don't know why, it just gives them like a little bit of a crunchier taste. But normal flour will work just fine. Now, you're gonna take 1 3/4 cup of flour. So 1/2 cup, 2/2 cup, and 3/2 cup. And then you're gonna take 1/4 cup. Now some people, they mix it in 2 bowls. Personally, I'm lazy and I don't want to have to do 2 dishes worth of bowls, so hence 1 bowl. Make sure you keep scraping the edges and fold it in. You might, if you do 2 bowls, you can slowly add it in, but I find that you can do that just the same with this. But I just added it in all at once, because, you know, I'm very smart. You're gonna keep mixing until you can't see any white powder in the dough, or barely any. Like, and then mix a little. So it's you want it to look like this. It's gonna have a texture almost like shag dough. If you don't know what shag dough is, I don't really either. It kind of looks shaggy. The most important thing when making chocolate chip cookies, the chocolate chips. Now, do not follow measurements. I will not be doing a measurement. The only measurement I will be saying is measure this stuff with your heart. Thank you, assistant. Measure with your heart. And see, I added this much. It all depends on the person. I like a lot of chocolate chips. And actually, I'm not even using chocolate chips. I'm using chocolate chunks. Because they have a more even chocolate distribution than chips, in my opinion. See, these, not that many. There are a lot, but just not as many as some other people would like. And now I have to add the salt, which is quite important. Like any good baked good recipe, you add a little salt because salt is chemical and it makes your brain happy and it amplifies almost everything. So this will help amplify the butteriness of the cookies. And I do not measure, you just add a nice little sprinkle. Not a hand pinch, just a little sprinkle. And look at our dough here, looking fabulous. I'm gonna take a little test.
Can I have some too?
Assistant, yes, you can have some. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. And make sure to cook your cookies at 375 for 9 to 11 minutes. Bye.